Kirsten, and I'm just going to share what I feel about what LFS means to me. So it's about our young people feeling and being empowered and inspired, and being able to feel like they can shape their future in a really positive way. It's an ethos across our curriculum, our community and campus, and that's something we're developing within Dunblane Primary. And for me, it's about the children learning their way to creating a better world. It's very much about connecting all of those aspects within the Wordle that we showed earlier on, and really weaving that all together into a whole school approach. And I just want to share a quote from one of our pupils in Primary 6, and to me it's really powerful and is why we're doing what we're doing. And he said, "I'd like to know I had learned about global issues like climate change and gender equality at school, so I can do something about it now, rather than being older and wishing I had known and done something about it." So I think to me that is, very much what it's all about. Our young people feeling like their learning is relevant and actually setting them up for the future and creating a better world.
Fantastic, thank you so much, Jennifer. Yvonne and Jane, would you like to pick up on that?
Hi everybody, I'm the Jane part of the duo that's presenting from Falkirk tonight, and I have the privilege of sharing the responsibility for Learning for Sustainability with Yvonne, who you'll hear from in a wee minute, in Falkirk. So we have a slightly different role from Jennifer in that we're not based in a school, but we've got responsibility for helping all of our early years and school establishments in implementing everything that you saw in the word cloud there. And as Kirsten said, it's a really busy word cloud, so it's quite a tall order to try to support all of our schools to embed learning for sustainability in the culture and ethos of their school. But Kirsten asked the question, what does learning for sustainability mean to you as an individual? And when we first started to tackle this as how do we actually help our schools to do it, and we're trying to describe it to schools, I used to say it's about all the good stuff. It's about all the really important stuff that you might not think about as part of education. So it's about, as Jennifer was saying, empowering young people. It's about getting children passionate about being able to take action on things. It's about children's rights. It's about raising awareness of global issues. It's about embracing young people in the natural environment and developing those connections with it. So for me, it's all the things that I used to get excited about. I come from outdoor learning, was my kind of practice before I was a member of the Serving School Improvement team. And it just, Learning for Sustainability for me embraces everything that is so important about education, which people, when they talk about the curriculum, maybe miss, and they talk about the subjects, but actually LFS is about all the good stuff that surrounds all the areas of the curriculum and joins them all together.
And I think for me, Jane and Jennifer have covered a whole lot of exactly what I feel as well. I suppose the only bit I can add, Julie, is I suppose a sense of pride, and I think pride is the best word. Maybe somebody else can come up with another word, that we as a country have put LFS at the centre of our curriculum. I suppose I feel that it recognises that learning is about real life and that our curriculum has LFS at its centre. So that sense of pride, that the priority and the ultimate need to look after our planet and to make sure that our system is producing citizens who are capable of tackling all of the issues that they're going to have to deal with, basically. All of that's being placed at the centre of our curriculum. I really love that. In addition though, and again Jennifer and Jane have both touched on this, I love the way that our education system, by placing LFS at the centre, is building that sense of agency and hope, not only in our pupils by making it explicit that their role in their own education is paramount really, but it also, our curriculum also gives us the power to shape the curriculum in ways which we think are right for our pupils, or which our pupils tell us are right for them. So I agree with everything that Jane and Jen have said, and these were the only bits I wanted to add. I'll stop talking.
Not at all.
Jennifer,
Thank you so much.
Jennifer, you've obviously woven LFS into the culture and ethos of your school. So maybe, I don't know, how have you done it? Because that's what Yvonne and are trying to support our schools to do. But How have you actually achieved that?
Another really good question, James. So it has been a journey, and I think for me that journey kind of started in 2018, and I started to embed the SDGs across learning. So started linking the SDGs across learning within my primary 3 class at that point in time, and then throughout the years started to support staff and kind of linking their learning to the SDGs, because we decided as a school that the SDGs would be the framework we would use in terms of really embedding LFS across the curriculum. So we're now at a point where, you know, I've obviously supported my colleagues in planning for LFS and really linking the SDGs to learning. And then this year we've now got our whole school learning context in term 1 linked to the SDGs. So we're all working on SDG 10, which is reduce inequalities for this first term. So it's great to see that we're now at this point and teachers are now naturally linking learning to the SDGs, and the children are naturally doing it themselves as well, which is brilliant to see. Obviously throughout that time there's been a lot of work has happened in terms of developing outdoor learning, global citizenship, sustainable development education, and for teachers within the school to really develop their practice within that. So there's been a lot of growth for us all. It's definitely been a journey, and our children have been kind of leading that as well. So I have worked with our junior leadership team, which is primary 4 to 7, and they have helped to evaluate our LFS journey and then kind of plan our next steps through the years. So they've been at the heart of that change as well, and really embedding LFS across the school.
So were you a champion, Jennifer? I know on one of the slides that we had, you know, sometimes LFS or outdoor learning, you know, becomes somebody's thing. Were you a champion who then managed to spread that throughout your school?
I think so, yeah. So obviously at the beginning I had a lot of passion and I'm very passionate about LFS, but that has, I think with me being very passionate about it, it's kind of taken everybody else on board. And I think as well with the children then becoming really engaged in all of these different things we were doing, they then kind of took their class teachers and on board with it as well, and they wanted to learn about the global goals and they wanted to learn outdoors. So I feel like we've all kind of influenced each other to get to where we are now. So that's been really good to see.
It sounds like you've done a lot of the joining of the dots with your colleagues in your schools, Jennifer. I think that joining of the dots that Kirsten mentioned, that's the bit that Jane and I have tried to streamline. And Kirsten also spoke about the Learning for Sustainability word cloud and just how much is in there. And our approach in joining those dots and trying to connect up a lot of the different policy drivers that we're all trying to pay attention to was to create a framework and to try and identify clear curriculum purposes for each of the elements of LFS, and to then share those with staff and to support them in their planning as well. And we've built the SDGs into those too.
That sounds great, Yvonne. I think that would be really helpful, because I appreciate we're at a point in our school where we are feeling confident with planning and linking learning to SDGs, but not all teachers will feel like that. So having a framework in place, I think, will be very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsten, I don't know if you've got the slide that Yvonne and I kind of sent you that have got sort of the visuals of how we've, I guess, bundled things that lend themselves to work together within the word cloud. I don't know if you could share that at the moment.
Yes, I'll just pop that up just now because it is a really useful framework. I don't know if you can see that now.
Yeah.
And this really kind of, this is part of our framework. It's the centerpiece of the framework that Yvonne was talking about. And it was literally us brainstorming one day saying, how do we help schools to actually do everything that's within that word cloud? How can we streamline it? How can we make it simpler? So we kind of thought, what kind of experiences, what kind of things would young people need to be involved in order to fulfill everything that word cloud encompasses? So we're saying, well, so we look at bundle 5, it's about, you know, at some point, you know, they're going to have to be able to take action on things. So exercising activism. Bundle 4 is about being able to explore their values and attitudes. They need to be able to connect with their local culture and heritage. They need to look at what's happening across the world. And they also need to, in bundle 1 down there, look at sustainable practices. So we kind of thought, what sorts of experiences and what stuff would people need to have to do? And then we bundled them together. And as Yvonne said, we're hoping that that helps them to streamline their planning. I don't know if you want to expand on that, Yvonne, because you're really the expert on the planning and helping schools to build their curriculum with LFS right at the heart of it.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I think you've said it all, really. I think to add to it, what my approach was, because I come from an interdisciplinary learning kind of curriculum background, and I loved the way that not only were we pulling out the themes within the Learning for Sustainability policies and reports and recommendations, but we were also building in all of the advice we were getting about interdisciplinary learning, and we were helping schools to respond to the refreshed curriculum narrative, to thinking about which elements of LFS could be done within their curriculum areas and subjects, which were about the ethos and life of their school as a community. So really thinking about the purpose for each part of LFS and how it fitted within the wider curriculum. And I love the fact that we're trying to work with practitioners to cut down their planning workload by integrating as much as possible and by really streamlining the curriculum and seeing how you can pull together E's and O's that actually mean there's no repetition, but conversely there's no gaps either in your curriculum that you're offering your pupils too. So those are some of the bits that I'm particularly passionate about. I suppose one thing I was wondering about, Jennifer, that folk who are attending tonight might be interested in as well, and something that Jane and I are hoping to gather this year from getting exemplification of people using the bundles was assessment. I don't know if you've looked at assessment and building it in. Is it simply through learning intentions success criteria, or have you done anything more formal or developed around that?
Yvonne, first of all, the bundles look fantastic, and really interested to see more of those. So as a school, we've very much taken an ideal approach. So we've got our learning context, and it is very much an ideal approach. Now, for me, how would we assess that? So that's been something I've been looking at last year and then this year as well. So last year we kind of started looking at ideal challenges, which evaluate the assessed attitudes and values as well as knowledge and skills. So that's something we started last year, and then this year we're going to be taking that forward as well. So that's kind of how we're looking at assessing. We've also started doing baseline assessments and things as well, in terms of looking at attitude changes. So right now my class, for instance, are learning about Malawi, so looking at their attitudes and perceptions of Malawi before and after we do this learning context. So, and that's been really interesting to use those approaches. So we're still developing approaches, but I think the ideal approach and kind of really looking at not just the knowledge now, but the skills and attitudes and values for us is really, really important. So to assess and obviously to be teaching too.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just sharing the slide that you shared with us, Jennifer, about Dunblane. I don't know, in the last couple of minutes, do you want to say a little bit more about this holistic approach that you've been taking with the young people?
Yes, Kirsten, thanks for sharing. So this was actually created by one of our two primary 6 pupils last year. And this was just a little overview of our LFS kind of journey at Dunblane. So like I said, it's very much, the SDGs now are kind of linked across our curriculum, especially within our ideal context. Outdoor learning is an approach we use across the school. The children are in the outdoors learning, most days. Connecting classrooms, so our partnership with our school in India, and we developed that last year, and we're now developing more partnerships as well. And last year we also worked with the school in Nepal on a climate change project. So really bringing those local to global connections as well. And then in terms of community, so our young people are driving change within our community. As I said, local to global connections. And then for our campus as well, so we've now got our planters where we grow our food. and tomorrow we're actually going to be harvesting our lettuce and the fruit from our fruit trees. We've got our water butts and compost bins, and we're promoting biodiversity. We created pollinator patches last year, and we're now harvesting the seeds from those to then grow more next year. So lots going on across the school in terms of the curriculum, community and campus, and that's just a little snapshot of it there.